welcome to Cable Plus Property, your #1 online educative platform on all issues related to land and landed properties. My name is Oiza and it's so good to be here. At Cable Plus Property, our aim is to ensure that all Nigerians and non-Nigerians have at the tip of your finger every information related to land and landed properties. We provide you with all that you need to know about getting your landed property registered, obtaining your planning permits, land acquisition, documentation, and everything pertaining to land and landed properties. In this video, I'll be having an exciting and insightful session with a past chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Lagos State chapter from the year 2005 to 2007. No other than Town Planner Yusuf Sulaiman. Come with me. So as a landowner or a developer who wants to get the layout plan approval, what are the procedures and what are the documents that's needed?
As a landowner, you have a land already. If you have a land, it's not yet a land until you have a survey plan that defines precisely where your land is. Okay? So if you have a land, you have your survey plan, then the next thing you do is get a registered town planner to prepare for you the layout based on your brief. What do you intend to see in the layout? Okay? So based on that, they prepare your layout. Then your layout, you take it to the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development for vetting. You send a letter to the Honorable Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development. They will vet that proposal. They look at it. They look at their chart. They chart it. They evaluate it. And if they found it okay on the surveys, then they will issue you with a letter to say, okay, go and you pay the registration fee. So once you pay the registration fee, you submit the layout plan, about 2 copies. You submit with the survey plan, with your title document, with a topographic map, of the land, Then you submit it to the ministry for processing. The ministry on its part will visit the site at a date. After visiting the site, they will evaluate the layout. They relate it to the master plan for that area. And that's why we say we have master plan. So your layout is going to be just a small portion of the master plan. They chart it on that and relate it and see whether it fits into the master plan. Let's take a good example. If you have a layout now and you prepare a residential layout, and during charting, they discover that land area you propose for residential layout is actually an industrial area. So you'll be advised to change your idea. Oh, that place is earmarked for industrial development. So we cannot allow residential. If you have industrial, they can still allow a little bit of that land to be for residential, but it cannot be, totally a residential area. So that's the essence of charting and relating it to master plan. Then once that is done and is successful, then they will grant you a provisional approval.
Okay.
That will enable you to go back to that site and baking all the plots out as approved in the provisional approval. You do your baking, the roads are set out, the various areas are mapped out, the area for recreation mapped out, the area for commerce mapped out, all as it reflects in the layout. So once you mark it out, then you are expected to submit also engineering details. Yes, because now you have road. What is the detail of the road? What size of your road? What will be the cross section of the road? So you submit engineering drawings on the road, on the drainage. The same thing, you submit engineering drawing on your water. How are you proposing to deal with your wastewater in your estate. It's very important. Because every time we talk about flooding, if all these things are not well coordinated, it will lead to flooding. So there must be engineering drawings that detail those aspects. Yeah, where are you going to have your sewage plant? How are you going to deal with your water waste? You know, how do you connect your drainage to other bigger drainage in the area? How do you connect your layout to other neighborhood around you? There must be connectivity. All these things are looked at. And once you pass through that place now, once that one is okay, they can now grant you a final approval.
Now, this seems like a very long process already. And you'd agree with me that an average landowner or developer might not want to go through this process. But then, because it's important and necessary, can you give a time frame, something like how long does it take for all of these processes to be achieved?
Well, there are two ways to it. Like I said, they will grant you preliminary approval. At that stage, they expect you to have submitted, among other documents, the tax clearance of the applicant. If you're a corporate body, you submit the tax clearance of the company and 2 directors. All this will still have to be verified. Once those things are verified and you are okay, I don't think there won't be much delay. But in overall, I think we should be expecting between a period of 3 to 6 months that you can get sorted out.
That's for submission
and the approval. Within a 3 months period, 3 to 6 month period, you can have the layout submitted and approved. And that's why they split it into 2 stages. Stage 1, you can really have that. The stage 2 is also depending on the performance of the applicant itself. Because all those requirements must be put in place. Once you have all the requirements in place, there won't be issue.
Now, this interests me because that means if it's going to take 3 to 6 months for it to be approved, so a developer should not look into building his or her house in 6 months, because that means it's going to take as much as a year to build a house if you want to build a house.
I think the issue for the developer is this. The developers need to understand what is involved in the project that he wants to go in. He knows that there must be survey plan. He must have planned his program, that all these things are part of that program. There are things he can do simultaneously. There are things that he will have to suspend until another one is done. So all those things must be worked and there must be program of work. So all those activities must be properly programmed and timed. And so he will do all those things in advance and then program his development at the time he's getting his approval. Because a lot of money will be involved. Now, by the time they grant him a preliminary approval, he's expected to set out all the roads. He starts spending money, bulldoze all the roads, okay? Identify all the spots for residential, the bakings are there. All those things has to be done by him. They all are, cost, implication. They have the cost implications. So he has to program himself. He should understand properly the process involved. And once he gets the approved layout now, that's the time he can now talk about going to physical planning permit authority for approval of the various building within the layout.
So building is costly.
It's costly, but anything that is good, you have to do it very well. And you want to do it once so that you don't repeat and repeat. That's the beauty of building.
Okay, land is land. I mean, it's the same everywhere. But I would like you to tell us as a professional, what's the difference between land in a developed area, for example, like Lekki and the island we have in Lagos, and what you call an underdeveloped area like Ajegunle and the likes in Lagos? What is the difference between these landed areas?
Well, land is land. A lot of things differentiate them in terms of location, in terms of usage. Okay, you talk about Lekki. Lekki is a planned settlement. It's planned. That's why you have all the roads networks, the drainage, the residential area, the commercial, all the network are well interrelated. That's a planned environment. You have water, you have everything that you look at. And you can see in the level of the people living in the area. They are high ups, they are high income earners, and the people living there. When you now talk about Ajegunle, Ajegunle is an unplanned settlement. There now, you cannot be talking about any layout approved for that system. They don't have an approved layout. It's not planned. Just develop on its own. People just go there, give me land there, and the resultant effect is that there are no well-coordinated road system. They lack all the services they need, and people will now be shouting, we don't have roads, we don't have drainage. It's as a result of the fact that the place is not planned. And what you now see now is that, like in Lagos State government, they're trying to see how can they improve those slum areas.
Can such areas become like the Lekki is?
And yes and no.
Okay, I'm interested.
Because each area has its own peculiarity. Okay, the areas we refer to as slums, they are slums because when we look at the type of housing there, when you look at the environment there, these are issues. Flooding, it's number one. The houses are poor housing, okay, and so tenure in terms of title, they don't have any tenure on the land. Any day, anytime, the landowner can chase them out of the place. So even if they have money to redevelop, they cannot do that on their own because they want to safeguard their money. So for such areas, what you discover is that minimal intervention are being done, like Ajegunle now. Minimal intervention in terms of providing road access road for them, providing street lights, try to provide some alley through which people can, it might not be a full road, you can at least they can walk into their environment properly. So we refer to that as urban upgrading. They upgrade such settlement so that people can have some facilities that are not there. Oh, we don't have clinic, they'll give them clinic, hospitals. They can still live fairly well. Apart from that, government on its own will have to improve on the tenure of the people. They don't have tenure, so government has to look at the tenure. How can we grant them tenure that can help them to invest better in housing, improving their housing stock? So we talk about government ratifying their stay. So we have a process we refer to a ratification process. So although they are on government land, government can ratify them and then give them title to the land, and then that can improve the housing stock when people have money and they can rebuild. A place like Jora Oloye, luckily I've studied that place while I was the GM of Lasoda with my team, and we was observed that area they need total redevelopment. It cannot be managed to say we want to do little intervention. No, all the houses there except for the palace, they were supposed to be removed and proper planning, initiated, bringing new things, commercial development. Because if you look at the place, it's in the heart of that environment. Such a level of housing that we have there shouldn't be there. So I'm sure the landowners are also looking towards that direction. At the moment it's totally redeveloped, then you can expect to find hotels along the lagoon. You can decide to have offices within that environment. And all this housing too, you have a better housing development. You can have high-rise building there because it's not far from Apapa. Joraole is not far from Apapa. So it will attract a lot of medium income people, you know, and it's not far from the rail line. Okay? So people will look at the opportunity, locational advantage that it has. The rail is there, and they also easy to get to Apapa. So it's a good business for real estate investors. So that area now, once it's redeveloped, then you can start to look at that area in comparison to places like Victoria Island, because all the facilities, services that they will now provide there will be high class.
But it will still not be 100% like those kind of places.
Why not? If not better.
Oh, really?
Why not? Yes, but the technology is improving. So now these days people are talking about greenhousing, smart this, smart that.
Yeah.
For any redevelopment there, if you look at smart housing, smart hospitals, smart everything, you put them in there, you can be sure it will be another heaven on its own. Why not?
I look forward to that. So having the planning permit is a must, especially before construction commences.
Yes.
Now, what can you say about the level of compliance of developers to this?
To the
especially content
of the plan. Well, planning permit is made compulsory. And if you look at the Lagos State Urban Regional Planning Development Law and the regulations, you know, Section 2 made it compulsory that for any development to take place in Lagos, they must first obtain planning permit. And this is very essential. That you have a planning permit is a big plus for the owner of that property. Because you will have been well guided. Because your plan will have gone through a system that are sure that if you build it the way it's approved, it will be sustainable. It will not collapse. Okay, that's part of the beauty of it. Now, even after approval, you're not talking about are they complying. In terms of people who turn out for approval, probably we'll say 40 to 50% of people in Lagos they turn for approval. It's low. But right now, look at, okay, those who are granted approval, how many of them are following the approval? That's another problem entirely. You know? And it is very important that the monitoring team of government should be sharpened to ensure that people actually, all construction work are, you know, are brought to the approval level. The new applications are encouraged. You know, the people should be encouraged to submit plan for approval. You know, much more so that the rate of approval is better off now. They now deliver approval within quicker now than before. You know, that is encouraging, and I'm sure if they push on that, more people will be encouraged to come forward and submit their building plan for approval.
And yes, we rounded off with Town Planner Yusuf Sulaiman, and you'd agree with me that it's like no other. Don't forget to head onto our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Cable Plus Property. Click the subscribe button just down below, like the video, share with friends and family, and also head onto other social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and follow us at Cable Plus Property. My name is Oiza, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.